Okay, we're streaming.
Okay. All right. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the November 14th, 2024 meeting of the Whatcom County Fire Protection District Number 4 Board of Commissioners. And today we have, as you probably know, we have the regular meeting, plus at the beginning we have a public hearing on some action items we've been asked to take regarding next year's funding. So we will first start with call to order. I'm Steve Cooley, Commissioner.
Tim Johnson, Commissioner.
Mark Lamb, Commissioner.
Jason Vanderveen, Fire Chief.
Okay, and Chief, please correct me if I'm wrong here. He and I just discussed this because we do this once a year. And so we're going to open the public hearing here in a moment. And the purpose of that public hearing is to discuss Resolution 2024-04 and 2024-05, plus the levy certification and the actions we've been proposed to take. So I'll open the public comment period now, and we will discuss all of us will discuss these items. And if we have anybody that calls in and wants to participate in the hearing, Chief, please let me know.
Will do.
Anybody?
Yep. And just for clarification, you're opening the public hearing, correct?
Correct. I'm opening the public hearing on the budget items that we've been requested to take action on. After that, when we're done with all of that, I will close the public hearing and we'll start the regular meeting, during which we will take action to either approve or disapprove those resolutions. Does that sound good to everybody? Okay. All right. So the public hearing on the specific items on the agenda is open. Chief, do you want to start with like just a quick layman's summary of the first resolution and what we're doing here? 2024-04.
So I've shared my screen so that you can see resolution 2024-04. This is a resolution to authorize an increase in the regular property tax levy for the fire levy. It's an increase of 103%, which means 3% more than last year. Per the levy lid lift, the board is authorized to lift the levy up to 4%. In discussions with Commissioner Cooley, he had requested an increase of 3% as it aligns more with the increase in the cost of living, so that we would not be further encumbering the taxpayers with a higher increase to the district than it would be the cost of living. This will bring in an additional revenue of $99,889.76 on top of last year's levy amount.
Thank you. So just to reiterate, we have a choice to raise this between up to 4%, right?
Yes, sir.
And after you and I discussed this, we felt that the current consumer price index figures that we had, the most recent ones, that 3% would be keeping us up with inflation.
Yes, sir.
As you said, not to do any more than that. We simply want to maintain the value of what we've already asked our constituents to pay. Do you have handy, and it's okay if you don't, any recent CPI figures?
I don't have those recent CPI figures, but what I could do is just tell you, as I'm working on the budget for both districts, some of the increases that we're seeing. For instance, employee health care is up 4%. Our insurance for buildings, auto liability, general liability is up 15%. Right, things like that. Our L&I rates have gone up almost 100%. They're doubling this year because of some line of duty deaths as caused by industrial illness. So we're seeing some significant increases. And I would just remind the board that the District 4 pays 25% of the operating expenses for the combined district, being one of 4 stations with your the area of District 4 is a quarter of North Wacom as a whole. So there is increased costs in service delivery to the citizens of the district. So that was kind of where Commissioner Cooley and I, when we discussed, my recommendation was the 3%, because it, like I said, it aligns with CPI. I could do a quick search of CPI real quick if you'd like.
No, that's okay. You had told me earlier that we had looked into it, so.
3.1, I believe, was CPI, was the August CPI, if I remember correctly.
Okay, so that resolution, let's just summarize the ones we're going to consider, and then if we've got more discussion, we can certainly go into that. So 2024-04 asks the county to, well, actually resolves us to increase the levy by 3%. 2024-05, Chief, could you summarize what that is doing?
Yes. 2024-05 is it is the sum of both tax levies that the fire district has. You have a fire tax and an EMS tax levy. The EMS, this resolution combines both. Since the only raise in a tax levy is the fire one, is the fire tax. My recommendation is to hold it at a 0% increase, the EMS levy, because the fire tax, the increase in the fire tax would cover those costs. So this shows bullet point number 1 is the assessed valuation of the properties that are assessed for fire valuation, or for the fire levy, sorry, in the district. Bullet point number 2 is for the EMS levy. You can see that they're different. And what happens is when somebody, when they authorize a tax levy, those properties stay in that tax levy. So then bullet point number 4 is the total collection of, would be the total.
Well, 3 is, yeah, 3 isn't 3 for the fire protection.
Sorry, three is the total collection of fire tax revenue. 4 is the total collection of EMS tax revenue. And then 5 is the administrative refund levy, which is, I still don't quite understand, but it has something to do with past taxes and what the county withholds the previous year. So this is a refund from the county of taxes owed to the fire district. And number 6 is the total tax revenue the district will take in the calendar year of 2025, as estimated by the fire district. So that's myself and Eric Quinn, the attorney.
Gotcha. Okay, so the refund levy, that was one question I had. It's unrelated to the other two. Yeah, that's just a separate.
Correct. That is
Okay.
a number that we get from the county each fall, October, November.
Right.
And that's them telling us that it's kind of their, I wouldn't call it an error, but it's their under calculation that they make from the previous year.
Okay. And just to kind of keep the overall overview thing. So obviously there's no place that we're going to make a resolution not to increase the emergency medical services levy. We're just not doing it, right?
Correct. You are
Okay.
just not doing it. And that results in what's called banked capacity. So since you did not take the, in recognition of the voters passing the fire levy last year, you did not take the 1% for EMS last year. You're not taking it again this year. That results in a 2% banked capacity, so that if in the future, if the fire district were to need that percentage of increase, it could take it on the EMS levy.
Great. Okay. Okay, questions, discussion on any of this?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I mean, just, it's only preface my question with how you want to do the process. Do you want to discuss it after a motion's on the table? Or do you want to just kind of open it up for anything goes?
How about this? Why don't we just open it up during the public hearing period while we're waiting to see if anyone else calls in? We can discuss this. We'll give it, until we've got our questions answered. And then if there's any further discussion that we forgot during the actual voting process, we could throw those in. How does that sound?
Sure. So I guess, and I don't
Go
know,
ahead.
Jason, oh, sorry, if this is
No.
too big of a question, but I guess specifically looking at the proposed or suggested 3% levy rate increase, looks like that number is pretty close to the bottom line estimated, I guess number 6 on the other one. So if that's kind of the bulk of it, I'm just wondering how that lines up with our anticipated budget needs. And maybe I've been living under a rock, but it seems like the budget numbers would be in front of us to kind of compare and see how that revenue, would
It's
meet.
spent. Yes, I understand. And I agree. This is a couple of years old process that that we're doing now. Apparently aligns more with the way they want things done at the state. What they're telling us, what they're saying, or what the county wants us to do is you're putting forward your budget request. And yes, I have not completed the budget yet, mostly because we don't have a budget study session until the 22nd of November, and both districts will not actually pass their line item budget until December. And so it's kind of a backwards process. We don't. The other part of this that's really kind of screwy in my head is that we don't even have the final numbers from the county. These are, if you look on page, if you go down to, what is it? The page below, so there's the levy certification page, and then the next page after that is the worksheet that we use. The two worksheets we use to calculate the fire and EMS levy revenue. And you can see that those are both watermarked with preliminary. The county hasn't even given us final numbers. We don't know the final AVs for things. So I understand it's a weird process, but this is how they want to do it. And yes, we're kind of asking for the revenue before we tell you what we're going to spend.
Yeah, and I'm just, okay, that all makes sense. And I get that sometimes the tail wags the dog. I guess my concern is that we're going to be asking for more than we need. And I guess that just concerns me as a taxpayer.
I agree. And I think that one way to look at it, and if the board wants to maybe discuss and agree, or maybe discuss this during the regular meeting when you're actually voting on these resolutions, is that remember we can, or you, excuse me, will reset this percentage every year. And I anticipate that in 2025, we're going to be paying for an engine, and we're going to be paying for the two big capital items that we talked about in the levy lid lift. Therefore, in 2026, if we only need 1%, then we dial it back to 1%. Maybe there will be enough. Maybe there will be enough investment revenue that the district chooses to take a 0% one year based on the levy. of the levy projection. I can tell you that at least with these preliminary numbers, that in both District 21 and in District 4, the AV is flattening out. We're not seeing, we've all, as homeowners, we've all seen these huge rises in assessed valuation over about the last 5 years. The AV, but for both districts here on these preliminary numbers, is flat. It's actually, in one case, it's actually down a tiny percentage. So I understand that we're putting the cart before the horse, but we do have 2 large capital outlays that we promised the voters that will be coming out in 2025. Thereby, I feel we could justify, or you can justify the increase this year. And remember, this is a number that's reset every year, and you could go 1 or 0 next year if we don't need the revenue to just maintain the service.
Okay, appreciate it. Thanks.
So can I just try to summarize that out loud so I get it in my head? Basically, budget isn't done yet for the reasons that you specified, but you're telling us that this amount that we're looking at approving here is going to cover, you're basically a best guess at this point, probably more than a guess, but your estimation is that this amount will cover the budget that you're going to propose later in November, right?
This is going to cover the budget as well as allow for the reserve funds to pay for those large capital expenses that we anticipate in 2025 and and maybe into 2026. And that will allow the fire district to complete its commitment to the voters for things that they were going to do with that tax revenue.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I didn't phrase that very well. I was trying to somehow quantify Mark's point about, can we quantify how much more we are asking for than we might potentially need? I don't think we can do that. We don't have
I can't do that. It's
a guess right now based
your first word was correct. That's almost the one that came out of my mouth too. It
okay.
is.
It's an educated guess at this point.
There you go. It's an educated guess.
All right. I just want to make sure I understood that. Okay, what else?
The third piece. So there's
yes.
The third piece would be this levy certification form that goes to the county, and this just memorializes the numbers that were in that second resolution. So here you can see the $3,429,529 for the fire tax and fire tax revenue. And then the other levy is EMS, $418,532.37, with that administrative refund amount of $8,461.24. That would be the sum total that the district is requesting the county to pay into its accounts or deposit into the district's accounts.
And when we get to the regular meeting and we're actually approving this isn't a resolution. Do we just need to vote to allow you to concur with your signing of this form, or?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Comments or questions about the third piece that we're looking at here, that form? Okay.
I don't have a comment on the third piece of the form, but I would say that I would echo Commissioner Land's comments about the process. It does feel backwards. I remember thinking that last year when we did this in November, and then didn't see the budget till after we had gone through this process. In my mind, the difference is last year, I don't think we asked for any percentage increase for this year. And of course, this year we're asking for 3%. So I share the same concerns as Commissioner Land. I do understand the correlation with the CPI index, the CPI increase. And to me, that makes sense. I also understand the large capital expenses that we'll have this year. And that this may well be, a really good thing to do in terms of doing the increase this year to be prepared for those capital project increases next year. But yeah, I don't know if there's another way we could do this, but it just seems like it's backwards. It'd be nice to see that budget before we were voting on a percentage increase like this.
And yeah, I agree. I will work. This probably sounds very hollow, but I can work next year. We'll work to have a preliminary budget to you prior to. But once again, just I would want to add on there a little asterisk that says everything we've gotten from the county is preliminary at this point.
Yes.
So we don't even have, we're kind of just, we're projecting, we're not actually planning, which makes it difficult. One thing, Commissioner Johnson, you're right. There was no increase last year because the first year of a levy, you are prohibited from doing the increase. The increase is not allowed until the following tax year. So this is the first year that the district is allowed to take anything more than the 1%.
Yeah, and I would echo the comments that Mark and Tim both made. Yeah, I don't want to take any more away from the taxpayers than we need to. And actually, I like the idea next year if we get these capital projects done, it would be nice to go back to the voters with a smaller increase or no increase. So, but obviously that's going to have to be dependent on how next year goes. But that can certainly be something we keep our eyes on. So,
Agreed.
Any other suggestions about how to do this differently, since we're making this guess at this point? Any recommendations on to change the proposed action for today? Does that make sense? Any other discussion about these? Okay. All right. Any further discussion before we close the public hearing and move into the regular meeting?
No.
Okay. And nobody's waiting for any comments, Chief?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. Well, then I will close the public hearing on the budget matters, and we'll proceed with the regular meeting. I will open the public comment period, and this can be comments on anything, not just the items we were considering. And Chief, again, do we have anybody calling in and waiting? Okay.
No, sir.
All right. So we'll close the public comment period and move on to the actual taking of action on the 3 items we just discussed. So I would entertain a motion to consider resolution 2024-04. So, Chief, remind me, we take a motion, we have a second, and then I read the relevant portions, ask for any discussion, and then we approve or disapprove?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So I'm asking if there's a motion to consider 2024-04.
I would move to consider resolution 2024-04.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. And as part of the discussion period, I'm going to read the relevant portions of resolution 2024-04. Resolution of the Board of Commissioners of Whatcom County Fire Protection District 4, authorizing an increase in the regular property tax levy of $99,889.76, a percentage increase of 103% from the previous year's actual fire levy. There's several whereases, which I will skip. Now, therefore, be it hereby resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Whatcom County Fire Protection District 4 that, number 1, an increase of the regular property tax levy in addition to any amount resulting from the addition of new construction and improvements to property and any increase in the value of state assessed property is hereby authorized for the 2024 fire levy to be collected in 2025 in the amount of $3,429,529, which is a dollar increase of $99,889.76, and a percentage increase of 103% from the previous year's actual fire levy of $3,329,639 and oops, we didn't round the cents there, but that's okay. 25 cents. Did I read that right? Or
Yes.
okay.
Yep.
All right. Number 2, that the board secretary provide a signed copy of this resolution together with any applicable exhibits via email to the clerk of the Whatcom County Council and the Whatcom County Assessor Treasurer. And then it says adopted at the meeting of Board of Fire Commissioners, Whatcom County Fire Protection District 4, this 14th day of November 2024 by a majority of the members. Any comments or further discussion on that resolution? All right, seeing none, then I will ask for a vote on resolution 2024-04. All those in favor of approving the resolution say aye. Aye.
Aye.
I,
Motion carries 3-0. The resolution 2024-04 is approved. All right, moving on to the next one. Resolution 2024-05. I would entertain a motion. Actually, I'll make a motion that we consider approving resolution 2024-05. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Tim. We have a second. We'll now open the discussion period on this. And again, I will read some relevant portions of this one. Resolution 2024-05, 2025 property tax levies. There's a few whereases, and then I will read the be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Whatcom County Fire Protection District number 4, or the district, as follows. Bear with me here. We have a few paragraphs to read, and I need to read them all, I believe, right, Chief?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, I'll be quick. Number 1, that the county assessor has notified the commissioners of the district that the estimated assessed valuation of real properties lying within the boundaries of said district for the assessment year of 2024 and tax year 2025 for purposes of the Fire Number 4 Capital Improvement Fund, Fire Number 4 Expense Fund, Fire Number 4 Go Bond is approximately $3,292,893.90.
Sorry, that's 3 billion. This is the assessed valuation.
Okay, right. Thank you. I appreciate that. I thought we had a rounding problem again. Okay, so I'll go back. So the amount is approximately $3,292,893,896. Number 2, that the county assessor shall notify the commissioners of the district that the estimated assessed valuation of real properties lying within the boundaries of said district for the assessment year of 2024 and tax year 2025 for purposes of the emergency medical services levy is approximately $3,356,247,198. Number 3, that the Honorable County Council of Whatcom County, Washington be and is hereby requested to make a general levy for fire protection for collection in 2025 for said Whatcom County Fire Protection District 4 of $3,429,529. Number 4, that the Honorable County Council of Whatcom County, Washington be and is hereby requested to make a general levy for emergency medical services for collection in 2025 for said county, Whatcom County Fire Protection District 4 of $418,532.37. Number 5, that the Honorable County Council for Whatcom County, Washington be and is hereby requested to make a refund levy for collection in 2025 for said Whatcom County Fire Protection District number 4 of $8,461.24. Number 6, that the treasurer of Whatcom County, Washington be and is hereby authorized to directed to deposit and sequester the monies received from the collection of the tax levies specified in sections 3 and 4 herein as follows. $3,856,522.98 to the expense fund or fund numbers. That was probably a placeholder for adding the actual fund numbers there. Is that what that is, Chief?
Yes.
Okay. We just don't have those numbers in the resolution, which is fine. Yes?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Number 7, that pursuant to RCW 84-52-125, the fire district hereby protects the district's tax levy from pro-rationing under RCW 84-52-110 subparagraph 2 by imposing up to a total of 25 cents per $1,000 of assessed value of the tax levies authorized under RCW 52-16-140 and 52-16-160 outside of the $5.90 per $1,000 of assessed valuation limitation established under RCW 84-52-043 subpart 2, if those taxes otherwise would be prorated under RCW 84-52-010. Say that 6 times fast. All right, and part 8, further pursuant to RCW 84-55-092, it is the intent of the district commissioners to protect the district's future levy capacity. Therefore, in any year in which the district reduces the regular tax levy below the amount of levy to which the district is entitled by law, consistent with existing voter authorizations and the limitations of the state constitution and statutes, it is the district's intent to fully preserve future levy capacity as the aforesaid statute allows. The county assessor is therefore requested to set the regular property tax levy at the amount which would be allowed under RCW 84-55, as if the regular property tax for the district for taxes due in prior years, beginning with 1986, had been set for the full or maximum amount authorized under law. And paragraph 9, that the district secretary provide a signed copy of this resolution together with any applicable exhibits via email to the clerk of the Whatcom County Council and the Whatcom County Assessor Treasurer. Adopted at the meeting of the Board of Fire Commissioners, Whatcom County Fire Protection District 4, this 14th day of November 2024 by a majority of the members. Okay, discussion on any of that.
Yeah, so Jason, did I hear you say earlier that the attorney had a hand in writing this?
He wrote it.
Okay, thank you.
I gave him the numbers. He wrote it.
Okay, perfect.
Excellent. Anybody else?
No.
Okay, no other comments or discussion? Then I will call for a vote. All those in favor of approving resolution 2024-05, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Resolution 2024-05 is approved. And then lastly, on this agenda item, we have the levy certification form that will make all this happen. And I move that we make a motion to allow or to concur with the chief's signing of this form and returning it to the Department of Revenue. So I've made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? Seeing no requests for discussion, all those in favor of concurring with the chief submitting this form to the Department of Revenue, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
I think motion carried 3-0.
Yeah, I spoke over somebody, sorry.
Okay, no worries. So motion's approved. Chief, you can go ahead and submit this form with our concurrence. All right, anything else before we move into the regular agenda? Okay. Next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda. All matters within the consent agenda have been distributed to each member of the Board of Commissioners for review, are considered routine, and will be enacted by one motion of the board with no separate discussion. If a separate discussion is desired, that item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda by request. And our consent agenda this week includes our meeting minutes from our October 16th meeting, staff reports as usual provided by the chief, financial report of our vouchers and payroll and benefits for our signature, which the total expenditures for that, those vouchers are $700,190.57 for this month. And that include the bulk of that, as you probably saw, includes simply our regular payment to North Wacom for services, plus some other smaller items. And we also have the expense fund revenue for October was $1,250,898.79. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'd move to approve the consent agenda.
And I will second that motion. Oh, I'm going to second that motion this time.
Very
Great.
good.
Okay, any further discussion on the consent agenda? All right,
No.
seeing none. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Consent agenda is approved 3-0. All right, moving on to unfinished business. These are just a list of items that we came up with last meeting that we just want to touch on each month to make sure we're all aware of what's going on with those. The first one is the Britton Loop Station number 12 exterior project. I'll just preface it by saying that I think the chief and I met a week or two ago, and I think it's pretty obvious at this point in the game, but the work for the station exterior project will probably take place next spring or summer at this point, given the constraints we've had to work with this year. So the money still continues to flow in thanks to our taxpayers. We put aside, and then once we have our project ready for funding, then next spring or summer, the work will probably start. Chief, anything to add to that?
No, sir. Just appreciate you all's patience, and just to give you a heads up that Chief Ward is no longer able to work and will be retiring in the near future, just due to his ongoing medical issues. So for right now, it's kind of a one-man fighting hole. Trying my best to fill his shoes. It's pretty impossible, but I have reached out to a couple contractors, and they're wanting to get through some projects, start meeting at the station in December to start putting some bids together for the spring. So.
Great. So to summarize for anybody that might be listening, we had hoped to get that work done this year, but due to several constraints, including our project managers and non-availability, we're going to just push that till next year. But again, the money keeps flowing in. So. Questions or comments, gentlemen, on that before we moved on? Okay. Next item, fire engine bid quote. Chief, I'll just let you comment on that if you would.
Yeah, we've met with Pierce Fire Apparatus, and they have two kinds of build programs. One is like a full custom, which is what we've always done in the past, and then they also have something called the Build My Pierce program. It fast tracks things a little bit. There's only so many different configurations that they can do, and that lessens the cost, and most importantly, it lessens the delivery time, because it's on a completely separate build line where they've only, like I said, they've only got so many different variations you can do. So what we're trying to do is take our current spec and push it into that Build My Pierce program, and which would mean for a cheaper product and faster build time. So we're down to the guys that are working on it tell me that we're near the finish line. I know it's taking forever, but it's the nature of shift work and trying to design something via email. So that's my excuse.
Right. Excellent. I had something, but it flew away. Anybody else have any comments or questions on the fire engine bid at this point? Okay. Moving on, Liz Loomis contract. The chief and I meant to talk about this when we met last week, but we didn't. So we had on the agenda. Yes, sir. Tim, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm a little slow on the uptake here, but on the apparatus, I saw, Chief, in your monthly report something about the local program and financing.
Yes.
The apparatus replacement, and is that something that we need to be doing for Fire District 4 as far as financing this?
I don't believe so. I believe that based on what we have in reserve now, and then with this year's revenue, that Fire District 4 will be able to pay cash for that piece of apparatus when it's delivered. Um, it is a relatively simple program, and so if it's something that we need to, we could, and I'm happy to give you a presentation on what I've learned so far about it. But I don't think there's going to be a need to finance anything. Although if Fire District 4 does need to finance something, I will tell you that the interest rates on that local program beat any kind of commercial loan that we could get from really anywhere. The interest rates are in like the 3.2, 3.6% on like a 10-year repayment. So it's a good program. It's done through the Department of Revenue,
Okay.
or the Treasurer's Office. And so it's a viable program. It's a simple application. What they use as your basically like as a credit, what they use is your or credit report is your non-taxing bond authority. So I don't even know what District 4's is, but it's I'm speculating based on knowing what District 21's is, that you have more than enough capacity if you had to finance an engine or something like that. There's more than enough debt capacity to do that. Plus not being in debt to anyone else, the reserves or savings that the district has, it would be a very simple process if you did elect to do that.
Okay. I appreciate that. I guess my perception was we won't need to finance that. That's kind of why I wanted to just see if something had changed there.
No, it was something I'm looking at. District 21, with the failure of their levy, District 21 has paid cash for apparatus since I've been in the chief spot, and that's just not going to happen anymore.
Okay.
It's not feasible. So I was looking at it for District 21. It is an option for 4 if we need it, but I don't foresee District 4 needing that.
Okay. Thank you.
Excellent. Anything else on that? Okay. Moving forward, Liz Loomis contract. Yeah, the chief and I were going to discuss, we had discussed, all of us, during our last meeting about whether we should keep them on retainer. And yeah, the chief and I didn't talk about it. So I'll just throw it open for discussion. Any thoughts? Chief, do you want to, are you prepared to give a recommendation on what we do with this? Should we keep it on board, or should we?
I mean, we still have the communication planning to go out in December. And that was pre-planned with them. And once again, the reason for holding on to it was that everybody was getting all the election flyers and they go straight to the recycler. So I'd rather have, if we're going to pay for it, I'd rather have the citizens, the property owners read it. And then, Liz and her team were invaluable to me. I learned a lot. I think, whether District 4 continues with them, I think we have some of that capacity in-house now, the ability to do those things. We've seen them done multiple times. It may take us a little longer than them. We don't have the team. We can't put a team of 4 or 5 people on it, but we can send out a mass mailer. We can, and I think when it comes to our next levy lid lifts 4 or 5 years down the road, I think it's something we can do in-house now. We've got the experience. Thanks to District 4, we even won once, so I know what that's like too. So, yeah, I think it's really up to the board. Liz and her team were great. I just think we might be past that time where we actually need them.
Say again, remind us what work they have remaining for us to do this year. Are we putting out one more letter?
There's a mailer that we talked about going out in the fall.
Okay.
And after hearing, I attended several meetings where we were talking about mailers, and the District 21 planning meeting where we talked about sending out a mailer, and some of the feedback we got about, in the fall of a presidential election year, what happens with all those mailers. I decided that we should sit on the District 4 mailer until the end of the year. So that people, they're just not automatically going in the recycle bin.
So perhaps we keep them on board at least through the end of the year so that we can potentially get that mailer done and then reconsider moving into 2025, whether we want to keep them on retainer. That's a thought.
Yeah, I think that's probably that would probably be my recommendation, is that go through one more month and then call it.
Okay. Yeah, we can.
Yeah, and that makes sense, because especially if we don't have some pending project with them, you know, after the new year, seems like it would kind of make sense, conclude the current project. And then, I mean, I can't express how thankful and grateful I am, how much help they were. So it has nothing to do with that. It's just, I feel at least my fiduciary responsibility, project's over. Thank you very much. We couldn't have been happier with you. And then if we need you in 2025, you know, you'll be the first person we call.
I concur with that.
I support that as well. I appreciate all the great work they did for us for the last 2 years here. And I think when we finish up this communication, that would be a good time to hopefully take a break. And if we need them in the future, certainly consider using them again.
Yeah, so maybe I don't want to be issuing marching orders here, but maybe the next time you talk to Liz, you know, might put this on her timeline that, you know, whatever communication in whatever form that takes, you know, we do hope to get that out before the end of the year.
Okay. I will do that.
Yeah, and I'll touch base with you on that, Chief, as well. So if we're going to do something by the end of the year, we can get moving on it, because
it's sitting in the hopper. It literally, we just will submit the voucher for the postage and then send it to the mail house, and then it goes out. It's
is the letter already done?
Yep, letter. You guys have already approved the letter.
So yeah, okay,
Yep.
Yeah, it might be good to revisit that just to be sure the language is current. But yeah,
Okay.
You're right. So okay, great. It sounds like we have a consensus on how to proceed with Liz Loomis. So yeah, and a heads up to her that at the end of the year we will most likely be not retaining them anymore, just so they can plan. Might be nice. So
Right.
All right. Anything else on that? Okay, moving on. I don't think we have any updates on these next two things, but I'll check with the chief to be sure. The county consolidation study meeting that the chief went to, and that the study that's proceeding. Any updates on that?
Proceeding.
Yeah. Okay. And I saw your note in the reports about, and I think you'd mentioned before that you all are putting together, you and some other chiefs are putting together a presentation for the county council to try to educate them on what a fire district is and what we do.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that's great. All right. And secondly, the Bellingham annexation. I've heard nothing on that at all. I think it's still in the same spot.
Yeah, nothing.
Same with you, Mark. I saw you shake your head. You haven't heard anything.
Yeah, no, it came up in my water district meeting, and same thing. It's, you know, the department heads are doing their work.
Great. Okay, that takes care of the unfinished business. Moving on to new business. Any new business for today? All right. Not hearing any, we will move on to correspondence, and there's none listed, but there was a couple of things we probably should just make sure we all knew that are in the packet. I saw basically the letter from the auditor saying we're going to audit you, and here's how we're going to do it, and signed by the chief. And that's just for our information, right?
Yes, sir. Just to let you know that we're going to do an audit this year.
Right. Okay. And then I saw just from the auditor's office, just a letter about if we were going to submit anything for a ballot measure for next year, the timelines for those. I don't think we have any plans in our district to do that, but it's nice to have those dates if for some reason we need them. So, and I think that's all I saw in the packet.
Yes.
So, okay, great. Any comments or questions on the correspondence? All right, moving on. We have two dates that we should all try to confirm here. We have, as Chief mentioned earlier, a joint budget session with District 21, a budget work session on November 22nd, and that's at the Odell Fire Station, right, Chief?
Yes, sir. Yep. Station 61 on Odell and Blaine, and that's at 9 a.m. on the 22nd.
Okay, great. I plan to be there. So anybody else?
Yeah, I hope to.
Okay. Great. Okay, and then our board meeting for the last month of the year is December 16th. Everybody going to be available for that? Let me check. I'm pretty sure I am, but that one I need to check real fast.
I'm going to be tentative on that meeting. I'll be somewhere between Arizona and Washington. And it might just be a matter of where I am and whether or not I can dial in.
No problem.
I probably should have brought this up at new business, but since we're talking about the December meeting, it reminds me, I think it's traditional at the December meeting is when we would kind of talk about board assignments. So, you know, I wouldn't want anybody to be surprised, but if Tim's not going to be there, you know, it wouldn't be any skin off my nose if we pushed it into January and just continued status quo, not even suggesting that we change anything. I don't know, but it's just, you know, it's something that I think we should be thinking about. I'm certainly not looking to do anything different in my role. I tried to say that with a straight face, but darn it, Steve.
Great. That was perfect.
That's well done.
I got the message.
So anyway, just throwing it out there.
Thank you, Mark. That's a great point. Yeah, so maybe if Tim is not able to attend the December meeting, then we can push that off into the January meeting. I agree with that. That's fine. What about you, Tim?
I support that. That makes sense. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm happy to either continue in this role or fulfill another role if someone feels strongly about that. So whatever, just so you know, that's where I stand. I'm happy to serve wherever I'm needed or wherever I'm not. So
I've been accused a time or two of not taking things seriously, but what I think I just heard was that Commissioner Johnson is going to be Chair Johnson if he misses the December meeting.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So think hard about whether you're going to make that meeting, Tim.
I'll find some way to dial in.
There you go. You better. Okay, great. I propose we continue the same unfinished business items, just carry them over to our agenda for the next meetings, just so we can keep track of all those issues and touch on them as we did in this one. Anything else that you all want to add at this point?
No.
All right, great. Well, I'm the worst offender here. I'm probably the only offender, but I really am going to stand up now and go right to the fire hall and sign documents as soon as we are done. So
thank you. I left a pen for everybody.
Thank you.
One pen you all have to share, but yeah,
Yeah,
there's a pen in there. So
okay.
and if you could please text me when you've got it signed, I'd appreciate it.
Will do.
All right.
Anything else for the order?
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all, and this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.